2021 hasn't exactly been a banner year at the movies so far, but there have at least been a few great releases to tide us all over. And if it's straight up escapism you're after, you'll do no better than these, the very best sci-fi films of 2021. Set in an alternate present, Lapsus follows a man who, struggling to care for his ailing brother, picks up a side hustle working for a sinister tech company. The film blends mystery, drama, comedy, and sci-fi, and it's been particularly noted for its timely critique of the gig economy. For example, Robert Abele of the Los Angeles Times writes, "A refreshing instance of world building where the emphasis is on satirical wit, activist smarts, and character. It feels like one of those movies we'll be looking at decades from now and saying, yeah, Lapsus had that." Meanwhile, critic Matt Zoller Seitz wrote in his review, "The low-budget, idea-driven corner of science fiction has become a crowded place recently. Lapsus is the latest entry worth seeing and arguing about." The movie currently holds a 93% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes and has been nominated for a 2021 Independent Spirit Award for Best First Screenplay. So if you're craving a genuinely important and thought-provoking indie sci-fi, Lapsus ought to hit just the spot. Little Fish is a romance sci-fi that's set in a not-too-distant future Seattle, where society is facing an epidemic of Alzheimer's-like illness. Olivia Cooke and Jack O'Connell star as Emma and Jude, a couple struggling with the devastating effects of the disease on their own relationship. Little Fish was filmed before COVID-19 hit and was due to be shown at the canceled 2020 Tribeca Film Festival. As such, its underlying premise may be incredibly timely, but it's actually a total coincidence. Entertainment Weekly's Mary Solosi says that despite the subject matter, Little Fish, quote, resonates mostly as a love story. She also praises the performances from the movie stars, saying, "Cooke and O'Connell both bring the cool project a necessary warmth that sells their relationship, which is the real star here, enough to carry the movie." Meanwhile, Jordan Ropp of The Film Stage notes that the details of emotional bonds are given utmost priority in the story over extraneous exposition related to light sci-fi touches. In other words, Little Fish is the perfect love story for life in trying times. Take a little romance, a little sci-fi, and the basic premise of Groundhog Day, and you've pretty much got the map of tiny perfect things. This movie follows Kyle Allen as Mark, a teenager stuck in a time loop, who then meets Catherine Newton's Margaret, another teenager stuck in the same loop.
Are you experiencing any kind of temporal anomaly in your life? By temporal anomaly, I mean...
I know what temporal anomaly is.
The two then decide to focus on finding the tiny, perfect things about their day. It's a love story a little like 2020's Palm Springs, only with heaps more teenage angst. Released on Amazon Prime Video on February 12, 2021, The Map of Tiny Perfect Things has been gathering critical acclaim for its impressive cast and strong emotional resonance. Mike Ward at Should I See It writes, "This is a detail-driven, meticulously crafted film that stands apart from its peers with two strong lead performances, a bit of a mischievous grin, and a heart firmly entrenched on its sleeve." While Shani Harris of Culturist calls the movie a new spin on young love that will stimulate your mind and touch your heart. The first feature, from writer-director Nicholas Ash Bateman, The Wanting Mare blends romance and drama in its tale of two lands. Jordan Monahan stars as Moira, a woman from an oppressively hot country who one day crosses paths with a wounded thief. There's a lot more to this movie than the initial premise, of course, but it'd be a shame to give too much away. Bateman's film took 5 years to make, and it was shot mostly in a warehouse with digital effects added after. This is especially fitting since Bateman has a background in VFX. For example, he did visual digital effects on 2018's Free Solo, which won the 2019 Academy Award for Best Documentary Feature. The result is a movie that's largely CG, and as a result, looks both haunting and beautiful. The Wanting Mare has an 81% rating on Rotten Tomatoes and was released to theaters and on streaming platforms on February 5th, 2021. Kat Hughes of The Hollywood News wrote, "The Haunting Mare is a beautifully realized film that transports the viewer to another world." And Henry Stewart at Slant Magazine noted that The Wanting Mare conjures a vivid, naturalistic sense of place out of ones and zeros. If you like your sci-fi with a dash of superheroism on the side, or vice versa, then Zack Snyder's Justice League is here to save the day. The epic adventure, which clocks in at a staggering 4 hours and 2 minutes, is flying along with a 73% critics rating and a 96% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. And while some critics may be a little mixed on the movie, fans are ecstatic with the so-called Snyder Cut. As far as the premise goes, this version of Justice League is fairly similar to the much-maligned 2017 uncut. Superman's sacrifice in Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice has spurred Bruce Wayne to unite a team of his super friends to face off against a major cosmic threat.
I don't care how many demons he's fought and how many hells. He's never fought us. Not us united.
The movie is divided into 6 chapters and an epilogue for easier viewing, and characters such as Cyborg and The Flash have their stories fleshed out, giving the film a grander scale with much deeper meaning. As The Age's Jake Wilson says, this is genuinely a different film from the earlier Justice League, and a much more coherent one. While Kyle Pinion of ScreenRex adds that it's perhaps the best DC film of the current cycle, and certainly the one that most embodies the inherent thrill of that publisher's canon. It's also one hell of a redemption story. Ever feel like you're reliving the same thing over and over again? Yes, it's another time loop movie. But don't worry, this one's a real doozy. Boss Level hit Hulu back on March 5th, 2021, and this sci-fi romp features plenty of action, video game aesthetics, and Frank Grillo playing a guy called Roy Pulver. Seriously. What more could you possibly want? As with the main characters in movies such as Happy Death Day and Edge of Tomorrow, Pulver's loop involves reliving the day on which he's killed. But this mysterious action sci-fi hybrid must be bringing something new to the table, since Boss Level currently stands at a 72% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Director Joe Carnahan has worked with Grillo before, who had a supporting part in Carnahan's 2011 survival epic, The Grey. And now he's drawing a heap of praise for his leading role in Boss Level. Richard Roper of the Chicago Sun-Times compliments Grillo's ability to carry the film, saying that he pulls it off with a combination of brute force and light charm. IndieWire's Christian Blauvelt also gives Grillo high marks, saying, "He gets you to invest in Roy enough that, even without a controller in your hands, you never feel like you're simply watching someone else play a video game." With no pixels in sight, Grillo gives Boss Level the thing most video game movie riffs lack: a pulse. Known as Sunryo in its original Korean, Space Sweepers takes place in a dystopian 2092. It follows a crew of space junk collectors, or sweepers, who find a robot girl named Dorothy, who's wanted by the evil corporation UTS. Deciding they can make money from their discovery, the sweepers hold her for ransom, which turns out not to be the smartest decision they've ever made. Space Sweepers stars Kim Tae-ri as Captain Jong and Richard Armitage as UTS's villainous gazillionaire leader, Sullivan. Behind the camera is South Korean writer-director Jo Sung-hee, who is most famous for his 2012 hit A Werewolf Boy, as well as 2016's Phantom Detective. Netflix released Space Sweepers onto its streaming platform on February 5th, 2021 to mostly positive reviews, and it now holds a 72% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Daniel Hart at Ready Steady Cut writes, "Space Sweepers is an energetic space adventure that manages to slightly emotionally engage the audience while stimulating them with fun action sequences." Meanwhile, The Stranger's Charles Madede says, "Space Sweepers features lots of explosions, lots of robots, and that raw examination of capitalist class structures we have come to expect from the best of South Korea's directors." And over at Slate, Karen Hahn says, "I couldn't help but be charmed by its possibly naive but hopeful idea that all of humanity might still come together to save itself." Supposedly the final installment in Legendary's Monsterverse, Godzilla vs. Kong sees the two iconic movie titans coming to blows in all their cinematic glory. The premise is simple enough. A team of humans set out with Kong on an expedition to the Hollow Earth, the home of the Monsterverse's terrifying titans. Along the way, however, they encounter an enraged Godzilla, and then, well, everyone starts smashing stuff. And don't worry, it looks a little better than the last time these guys duked it out. Reviews for the movie have been particularly effusive regarding its kaiju action, with Good Morning America's Peter Travers saying that the clash of these titans is spectacular in every sense of the word. Possibly the most glowing praise comes from Matt Zoller Seitz, however, who writes, "It might be the best studio film so far this year. If it isn't, it's for damn sure the most fun." Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about your favorite movies are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.